Hello everybody, welcome back to one final vinyl update for 2016. As promised, I have the last of my recent record fair finds and some other odds and sods. Hope everybody's happy and ready for the holiday season. We got snow on the ground here for the first time this year. The tree is up and decorated. The kids are pumped and ready. So we'll get right into it. Some recent thrift finds. I'm going to kind of skip ahead here to some more recent stuff. I still got a backlog of things I haven't shown yet, but this is Astrud Gilberto, or Gilberto, however that's said. A couple of price stickers from an old record store on there, but the vinyl is very clean on Verve. She is, of course, the voice of the famous bossa nova single, The Girl from Ipanema, so similar style here. Bossa nova. Kind of happy to find this. I got to one thrift store a few months ago, and this guy was digging right as I walked up and pulled a record by her out, which I don't have any by her, so I was pretty choked on just missing that by literally by heartbeats. So I was happy to luck into that one. This was a really weird find the other day. It was too weird to leave behind. George Stavis, Labyrinths. This is from 1969, I believe. That is on Verve. Or Vanguard, sorry, usually a folk label. Very clean condition. This is a banjo album, actually, instrumental banjo album from 1969. He kind of blends classical influences. He was trained as a classical musician before switching to banjo, influenced by folk artists like the Weavers, Pete Seeger, of course. Later on, as the 60s went on, he was influenced by people like Ravi Shankar. And he finally decided that he actually considered taking up the sitar, but he thought it would take 10 years of practice to become a mediocre sitar player, or he could go back to the banjo and stick with what he already had some talent in. So what he did was apply that sitar kind of sound to the banjo. So this is some kind of quite trippy, kind of mysterious, exotic instrumentals with no other instrumentation, just some percussion. Kind of interesting. And the cover shot was actually put together by Joel Brodsky, who did the famous photo of Jim Morrison shirtless with it's supposed to be a crystal ball, and he's dressed up as a monk or wizard or something. It was the 60s. What can you say? This one I found very excellent condition. This is one I did not have. Found it in the thrift store. World of Wonders by Bruce Cockburn, Canadian guy, 1985 on this one. If you know Bruce Cockburn from some of his, this is kind of from his peak commercial period of If I Had a Rocket Launcher, and he's in very similar pissed off political mode here. He's got Call It Democracy, People See Through You. He's angry on this one, and his records are great from that period. This was one I was digging in the thrift store. I spotted this one in the bins. Knew right away what it was. There was a guy working the bins from the other end, so I snatched this up fast. Sugar Cubes, Life's Too Good. This is in immaculate condition. Doesn't even look like it's ever been played. If you don't know the Sugar Cubes, lead singer is Bjork. Went on to, of course, a famous solo career. Their music, they're from Iceland, by the way. Kind of a mix of kind of the quirkiness of the B-52s with kind of the indie rock sensibility of REM at the time. 1988 on this one. So, very cool find there. This was another kind of unusual one I found the other day. It is a Hawaiian one. I show the odd Hawaiian thing I know. Olo Mana is the name of the group. Two kind of long-haired dudes in a tropical paradise is usually a good sign. 1977, I believe, on this one. Still actually got the price sticker from Jellies, which is a music store in Hawaii on the island of Oahu. Never been there yet, but I've heard of it. There you go. And typical kind of acoustic, folk rock, very laid back. There's one hidden track at the very end of side 2, which is kind of a reggae type jam. I don't think it was ever intended to be on there. It's pretty lo-fi, pretty rough, but it's kind of a reggae beat on there. This was one I found the other day, another blind buy. This is my first record from the Philippines. It is Ku Ledesma. And I brought this up to the counter. There was a Philippine cashier there, and she recognized this right away. She's like, oh, Ku, I know her. So, kind of Diana Ross. This kind of reminds me of those kind of highbrow ballads. But there's a couple of kind of disco funk tracks on here. 1980 on this one. That was kind of a cool find. This is actually a find from a little while ago. Dave Brubeck, Gates of Justice. Totally random find. That is on Decca. Late 60s, I think, on this one. And this is a very different Brubeck from his Take 5 era. This is him composing it's kind of a concept album with a mix of a Catholic, I think it's a Catholic Mass, and the Jewish cantorial tradition, kind of blended together with his contributions. So you got quite a bit of vocals here, and it's intended as kind of a political statement on the turmoil of the times and trying to bring about unity and brotherhood and justice. So kind of an interesting find there. Showed a couple of gospel thrift finds in my last video. I got a few more I'm going to share with you today. Not going to say a whole lot about them individually. They're all very, very soulful, kind of funky gospel from the 70s mostly. These next few are all found them at the same time, obviously from the same collection. Just very unusual to find this kind of thing in my area. This one, I couldn't even find it on Discogs. It is Eugene Williams, Sister Lee, Ida Brown, and the Houston Interdenominational Choir, Work While It's Day. 1975 on this one. ABC Peacock label. And also the Pilgrim Jubilee Singers. Again, 1970s on this one, I think mid-70s. ABC Peacock. 1974 on this one, sorry. Very nice one, that one. This group's a little bit better known. I have a couple others by them already. It is the Mighty Clouds, aka the Mighty Clouds of Joy. This is a live one at the Montreux International Musical Festival. It's 1982 on this one. On the Myrrh label. This one actually I just found the other day. Jesse Dixon. It's All Right Now. That's on the Light label, which I know from Andre Crouch albums, which I do see here from time to time. He apparently worked with Andre Crouch, had quite a long career before this this period in gospel music. And there's testimonials on the back from Paul Simon, Diana Ross, Natalie Cole, and Leo Sayer. James, I know you love Leo Sayer. Getting into the last of the record fair finds. The last record fair of 2016, and carrying on with the gospel theme, I picked up this one. This is a compilation on the Numero label from 2006 called Good God, a Gospel Funk Hymnal. Typical Numero design aesthetic there, which I'm not really a fan of actually. I mean, they look okay, but the track listings of the records are only on the label. So if you want to see what's playing, you have to try and crane your head and look on the label, which I like to be able to look at it on the sleeve personally. And I'll just quickly take these out. They are on a beautiful kind of purple marble vinyl 2 LP set, and the second one is on pink marble. So very beautiful pressings. This was a mint, it's a used but mint copy that I found. Very deep gospel on here, I guess you'd say. A lot of funk. Bit of James Brown, bit of Stevie Wonder influences in there. I had my 5-year-old up and dancing when I put that one on. I think I'm raising a little soul man there. He likes the James Brown style yells. This one I'd looked at in one seller's bin, kind of put it back down. I knew what it was. Kept on looking around the room, and I saw another seller was selling the same thing for 75 bucks. So I went back and picked this one up, and the seller said I was the first one that had picked it up all day. It is the debut album by Jobriath. Gatefold there. That's on Elektra. 1973. He was kind of America's answer to David Bowie, very much in that Ziggy Stardust glam rock era. He was the first openly gay artist signed to a major label. Recorded a second album after this called Creatures of the Night, I believe, which I've had for quite a few years. I found it in the thrift store, actually, several years ago. Picked it up blind. So I only more recently I learned there was a debut album, so that was my first time seeing it. This is a Canadian one called Cat, called A New Kind of Cat on the RCA Victor label. 1970 on this one, I believe. They were a Canadian group, kind of in that Guess Who kind of late 60s style of rock. They get in a bit of weirdness though. There's a bit of kind of social commentary in here. They get it. It was kind of funny because I listened to this for the first time the day of the news that Fidel Castro had died. And that news broke a couple hours after I'd spun this record, and he's mentioned on here. There's a song called I'm Gonna Hijack a Plane to Cuba, which is kind of one of the more out there songs on here. It goes, Mr. C will be waiting for me. So kind of funny one there, but not really psychedelic, that one, more kind of folk rock and roll of the time. Blackbirds, their debut album on the Fantasy label. A few other ones by them, of course. If you don't know the Blackbirds, formed by the jazz musician Donald Byrd to explore more funk jazz kind of style. This actually reminds me a bit of War. It's got that same kind of laid back summertime groove to it. A very nice one from them. This was an upgrade copy for me. Of course, everybody knows this one. Herbie Hancock, Headhunters, Essential, Jazz Funk. Cover's coming apart a bit, but other than that, it's in excellent shape. That will replace my scratchy old copy that I found in a thrift store years ago. Last couple of finds, and they are some very good ones for me. This one is by the reggae DJ called Yellowman. Here, partnered with his sometime on stage partner Fathead. The two of them would have kind of a call and response thing going on in the style of the day, with kind of similar to other artists like Michigan and Smiley at the same time. This is actually the first live dancehall album that was put out for a commercial release, which means that this is him performing on stage, performing on a sound system. In this case, one called Aces International, which was based out of the parish of St. Thomas, Jamaica. This is his residency on this sound system, where he would perform regularly, chatting his lyrics or rapping in the Jamaican style over pre-recorded tracks. His residency on this set was what broke him to international stardom. 1982 on this one, he would be absolutely at the top of the dancehall pack at this period and for the next couple of years. That is on the Jah Guidance label. Very excellent condition. Got this super cheap, kind of a lone wolf find out of the bins of one seller at the record fair who didn't have much else for reggae. But yeah, mainly Yellowman on here. There's one singer on here, Ja Rubel. Fathead gets a couple tracks. Kid DJ Little Harry is on here. Only a few rhythm tracks that they're chatting over here. One by Dennis Brown, a couple by Mighty Diamonds, including the Pass the Coochie rhythm, otherwise known as Full Up, when it was first cut at Studio One. A lot of people would know it as the musical basis of Musical Youth's big hit Pass the Dutchie around the same time, which was a cover of a Mighty Diamonds song called Pass the Coochie. But originally cut late 60s at Studio One, the rhythm track. Last find, Big Youth, another DJ from his classic mid-70s period. I think this is about his third, maybe fourth album if you count his first one for Prince Buster, which he was not entirely featured on. He only had a few tracks included on the album. Produced by Prince Tony Robinson, who did a lot of the records that were released on Virgin Records at the time, and this one was indeed. But this one is actually first UK pressing on the Click label. From 1975, as I said, later released on Virgin. This is the original, one of his he's at the full peak of his powers here, absolutely classic set. Some blistering heavy rhythms like, sorry my voice is going, trying to get over being sick here. Burning Spear, Marcus Garvey, Yabby You, Conquering Lion. First side is all his DJ vocals. Second side, mainly instrumentals by the Skin, Flesh and Bones band. Heavy roots here. So that was an awesome find. Not the sort of thing I typically see in my area. Okay, that's it for me for this year, guys. I'll be taking the rest of the holidays off, as I'm sure many of you will. I want to wish everybody in the vinyl community and everybody watching a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, best of the season to everyone, and we'll see you in 2016. Cheers. Take care, guys.